The legacy of Lucas Grant. In the bustling heart of Boston, Massachusetts, where skyscrapers kissed the clouds and history intertwined with modernity, a young boy named Lucas Grant was born into a world of immense privilege. His father, Thomas Grant, was a real estate tycoon whose name was synonymous with luxury and influence. Thomas's sprawling empire spanned continents, and he was known for his uncanny ability to turn even the most neglected properties into golden investments. Yet his heart harbored a secret passion, a love for collecting rare historical artifacts, treasures from bygone eras that spoke of untold stories. Lucas's mother, Dr. Eleanor Grant, was equally remarkable. As one of the nation's leading heart surgeons, her reputation was built not only on her unparalleled skills, but also on her compassion for her patients. Eleanor's dedication to her work was matched by her devotion to her family, and she often reminded Lucas of the importance of using privilege as a tool for good. Growing up in their luxurious Beacon Hill mansion, Lucas could have easily succumbed to the trappings of wealth. His childhood was a tapestry of exclusive boarding schools, private tutors, and vacations to the world's most exotic locales. But Eleanor's influence was profound. She instilled in Lucas a deep sense of empathy and responsibility, emphasizing that true wealth was measured not by bank accounts but by the lives one touched. By the time Lucas turned 12, he was volunteering at local shelters, spending weekends serving meals to the homeless, and organizing charity drives at his school. His father, while proud, often questioned whether Lucas was too idealistic. "Son," Thomas would say, sitting in his expansive study filled with antique maps and priceless artifacts, "the world isn't always kind. You have to learn to protect yourself." Lucas would smile, his bright green eyes filled with determination. "I know, Dad, but kindness can change the world." At 18, Lucas's life took a devastating turn. Eleanor, the heart of their family, was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of cancer. For 2 harrowing years, she fought valiantly, undergoing countless treatments and surgeries. Lucas was by her side every step of the way, often foregoing social outings and personal ambitions to care for her. Her passing left an irreplaceable void in his heart, one that no amount of wealth or luxury could fill. The loss also brought Lucas and Thomas closer. Grieving together, they found solace in shared memories of Eleanor. For the first time, Thomas began to see the world through Lucas's eyes, adopting his late wife's perspective on giving back. Together, they initiated the Eleanor Grant Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to providing healthcare access to underprivileged communities. It was Lucas's way of keeping his mother's legacy alive. But life, as Lucas would soon learn, rarely followed a predictable script. 3 years after Eleanor's death, Thomas announced he was remarrying. His bride-to-be was Anna, a charming woman with a warmth that seemed to light up any room she entered. Anna had a daughter, Lily, from a previous marriage, a quiet, bookish teenager who rarely looked up from her novels. The announcement was met with mixed emotions from Lucas. While he wanted his father to find happiness, he couldn't help but feel a twinge of unease. Eleanor's absence still loomed large, and the idea of someone stepping into her place felt almost sacrilegious. The wedding was an intimate affair, held in the garden of their Beacon Hill estate. Lucas, standing beside his father, watched as Thomas and Anna exchanged vows. Lily, standing quietly in the corner, caught Lucas's eye and offered a shy smile. It was the first time he noticed how much she resembled her mother, not just in appearance, but in her reserved demeanor. Despite his initial hesitation, Lucas slowly began to open his heart to his new family. Anna's kindness was genuine, and Lily's love for literature mirrored Lucas's own fascination with stories. Over time, the 2 step-siblings developed a unique bond, often spending hours discussing books and exchanging ideas about the world. As Lucas approached his mid-20s, he became a man of vision and purpose. His philanthropic efforts expanded, and he gained recognition for his work in combating homelessness and advocating for mental health awareness. Yet his modesty remained intact. "It's not about being a hero," He often said during interviews, "It's about making sure everyone has a chance to live with dignity." Little did Lucas know his life and his death would become the subject of a mystery that would captivate the world. The unforeseen tragedy. Lucas Grant's life was a beacon of hope and inspiration to many. His tireless dedication to the causes he championed earned him admiration far beyond Boston's affluent circles. Yet for all his achievements, Lucas remained grounded, valuing simplicity and authenticity over the grandeur his wealth afforded him. This humility only deepened the shock when tragedy struck, cutting his promising life short at the age of 32. It began as a regular day. Lucas was scheduled to attend a community event in Roxbury, where his foundation had funded the construction of a new shelter for homeless families. He had spent months working closely with the project team, ensuring every detail was perfect. That morning, he'd spoken to his stepmother, Anna, who was organizing a family dinner to celebrate the shelter's opening. Lucas promised to be back in time, joking about her famous lasagna that he could never resist. But Lucas never made it to the shelter. The details of the incident were as confounding as they were tragic. En route to the event, Lucas's car veered off a quiet stretch of road, crashing into a massive oak tree. Investigators later determined there was no mechanical failure, nor any sign of foul play. Witnesses reported seeing his car dragging erratically moments before the crash, leading some to speculate that Lucas had suffered a medical emergency. The news sent shockwaves through Boston. The city mourned the loss of a man who had given so much of himself to others. Vigils were held outside the Eleanor Grant Foundation's headquarters, and thousands of people shared stories of how Lucas had touched their lives. His funeral was attended by a veritable who's who of Boston's elite, alongside countless individuals from the communities he had served. Among the mourners was Lily, now a poised young woman in her mid-20s. She had grown close to Lucas over the years, and his death left a void she struggled to comprehend. Standing by the casket, she clutched a worn copy of one of Lucas's favorite novels, The Alchemist, which he had given her on her 18th birthday. On its inside cover, he had written, "For Lily, who reminds me that every treasure is found through persistence and love. Never stop believing in your dreams." Anna, too, was inconsolable. Though Lucas wasn't her biological son, she had loved him as if he were. She stayed by Thomas's side during the funeral, her quiet strength helping him endure the unimaginable loss. Thomas, normally a stoic man, was visibly broken, his grief amplified by the cruel irony of having outlived both his wife and his son. The funeral was a somber yet grand affair, befitting Lucas's stature. His body was laid to rest in a specially constructed mausoleum on the family estate, a structure Lucas himself had designed years earlier, never imagining it would be used so soon. The marble tomb was inscribed with one of his favorite sayings, "To live in hearts we leave behind is not to die." However, the story took an unexpected turn when scientists approached the family with an unusual request. A research team from Harvard University had been conducting a groundbreaking study on the decomposition process of human remains. Their goal was to better understand environmental factors that affected burial conditions and use the findings to improve forensic science. Lucas's family, still grappling with their grief, was initially hesitant to participate. But the researchers made a compelling case, emphasizing how the study could potentially save lives in the future. Thomas, knowing how much Lucas valued scientific progress and helping others, ultimately agreed to the proposal. A small, unobtrusive camera would be placed within the sealed coffin to monitor environmental changes over time. The footage would remain strictly confidential, viewed only by the research team. The decision sparked controversy among some of Lucas's admirers, who felt it was invasive. However, Thomas defended the choice, stating, "Lucas believed in using every opportunity to make the world better. If this study can prevent tragedies or advance science, then it's what he would have wanted." The camera installation was carried out discreetly, and the researchers assured the family that the footage would only capture natural processes. For weeks, the study progressed uneventfully, with researchers meticulously documenting temperature shifts, microbial activity, and other factors. But one night, approximately a month after Lucas's burial, something occurred that no one could explain. It was a quiet evening in the university lab, with only a skeleton crew monitoring the various experiments. One of the researchers, Dr. Maya Patel, was reviewing footage from Lucas's mausoleum. At first, everything appeared normal. The interior of the coffin was dark, and still, the only sounds the faint hum of the recording equipment. Then, at exactly 2:17 am, the camera captured something that sent chills down Dr. Patel's spine. A faint glow began to emanate from the coffin's interior. At first, she assumed it was a technical glitch, a reflection or malfunction of the camera's infrared system. But as she continued to watch, the glow intensified, taking on an almost otherworldly quality. It wasn't a uniform light, but seemed to ripple and shift, as if alive. Dr. Patel froze, her eyes glued to the monitor. The glow began to coalesce into a vague, human-like shape. It was translucent, almost ethereal, but unmistakably present. The figure hovered for several seconds before dissipating into nothingness. Heart-pounding, Dr. Patel rewound the footage, convinced her mind was playing tricks on her. But the phenomenon repeated itself, exactly as it had appeared moments earlier. She called her colleagues, who gathered around the monitor in stunned silence. "Is this a prank?" one of them asked, his voice trembling. "No," Dr. Patel replied firmly. "The equipment's been running uninterrupted. There's no way to fake this." The team decided to notify Thomas and Anna immediately. When they arrived at the lab the next morning, Thomas was visibly shaken. Watching the footage of his son's grave, he gripped the edge of the table, his knuckles white. Anna, clutching a handkerchief, whispered, "It's him. It's Lucas." But what did the glowing figure mean? Was it a manifestation of Lucas's spirit, a strange natural phenomenon, or something else entirely? The family agreed to keep the discovery under wraps while the researchers investigated further. But as rumors began to leak, the story took on a life of its own, drawing the attention of skeptics, spiritualists, and conspiracy theorists alike. And this was only the beginning. What the camera captured next would make the world not just question science, but the very fabric of reality itself. The unraveling mystery. The footage of the mysterious glow inside Lucas Grant's tomb became a guarded secret among the scientists, the Grant family, and a few select individuals sworn to confidentiality. But secrets, especially those tinged with the unexplained, have a way of escaping into the world. As whispers of the eerie occurrence leaked into the public sphere, the story quickly snowballed into a media frenzy. The family estate became a hotspot for journalists, conspiracy theorists, and spiritual enthusiasts, all eager to unravel the mystery surrounding Lucas's final resting place. Some claimed the glow was evidence of divine intervention, a sign that Lucas's altruism had elevated him to a higher plane of existence. Others speculated that it was an elaborate hoax, orchestrated by the Grant family or the scientists to draw attention to their causes. A few even argued that it was a natural, albeit rare, chemical reaction occurring within the mausoleum. Thomas Grant, already devastated by his son's loss, found the intrusion unbearable. Despite his efforts to shield the family from the prying eyes of the world, the pressure mounted daily. "We need answers," he told the scientists during a private meeting at the family's Beacon Hill estate. Lucas was a man of reason and science. He would want us to get to the bottom of this, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. Dr. Maya Patel, leading the research team, assured Thomas that every possible avenue was being explored, but even she couldn't deny that the phenomenon defied logical explanation. "We've ruled out equipment malfunction and environmental anomalies," she said, her voice tinged with both frustration and fascination. "This is unlike anything we've ever encountered." Meanwhile, Lily Grant, Lucas's stepsister, had been quietly observing the chaos unfolding around her. While the world debated the footage, she found herself drawn to Lucas's old study, a cozy room filled with books, photographs, and personal artifacts. It had been Lucas's sanctuary, a place where he planned his philanthropic endeavors and sought solace during challenging times. One evening, as the autumn wind howled outside, Lily sat at Lucas's desk, flipping through one of his journals. The pages were filled with handwritten notes, sketches, and musings about life, purpose, and the human condition. Lucas's words were a reflection of his soul, curious, empathetic, and deeply introspective. As she turned a page, a loose sheet of paper slipped out and fluttered to the floor. Picking it up, Lily saw it was a letter addressed to her. The handwriting was unmistakably Lucas's, and her heart raced as she unfolded it. "Dear Lily, if you're reading this, it means I'm no longer here, and for that I'm sorry. I never intended to leave you or anyone else behind. Life has a funny way of surprising us, doesn't it? There's something I need you to know, something I never shared with anyone else. Over the past few months, I've been experiencing unexplainable things. At first, I thought it was stress or exhaustion, but it felt deeper than that, almost otherworldly. I've seen flashes of light in the corners of my vision, heard whispers that I couldn't trace to any source. It wasn't frightening, though. If anything, it felt comforting, like a presence was watching over me. I didn't want to alarm anyone, especially Dad, but I couldn't ignore it either. I don't know what it means, but I started to wonder if there's more to this world than what we can see and measure. If something happens to me, promise me you'll keep looking for answers. Not just for me, but for yourself, for everyone. The world is filled with mysteries, Lily, and I think we're only scratching the surface. Love always. Lucas." Lily's hands trembled as she finished reading the letter. She felt a strange mix of sorrow and determination. Lucas had always been her guiding light, and now, even in death, he was urging her to seek the truth. She decided to share the letter with her father and Dr. Puddle. The discovery reignited the team's efforts, adding a new layer of complexity to the investigation. Dr. Patel, ever the scientist, couldn't ignore the possibility that Lucas's experiences were connected to the glow captured on camera. It's possible he was experiencing heightened sensory perceptions, she suggested during a meeting. But the fact that he found it comforting rather than alarming is intriguing. It suggests a psychological or even spiritual dimension. The team intensified their research, analyzing the mausoleum's environment for any anomalies. They brought in specialists from various fields, physicists, chemists, and even theologians. Each expert brought their own perspective, but none could offer a definitive explanation. Then, 2 weeks later, the camera captured something even more astonishing. It was just past midnight when the faint glow reappeared. This time, the shape was more defined, resembling the human figure in silhouette. The figure appeared to be moving, as though pacing inside the coffin. It reached out, its translucent arm passing through the coffin's interior wall, and then vanished as abruptly as it had appeared. Dr. Patel, watching the live feed, felt a chill run down her spine. She immediately contacted the team and the Grant family. Within hours, the footage was being analyzed frame by frame. "What are we looking at?" Thomas asked, his voice trembling. "Is it Lucas?" Dr. Patel hesitated. "We don't know, but this changes everything. If this is real, and I believe it is, we're witnessing something unprecedented." The footage was sent to experts in digital imaging to rule out tampering, but the results were conclusive. The phenomenon was genuine. This revelation sent shockwaves through the scientific and spiritual communities. Was it proof of life after death, a unique natural occurrence, or something else entirely? As public interest reached a fever pitch, Thomas decided to hold a press conference to address the growing speculation. Standing before a sea of cameras, he spoke with measured calm. "We don't have all the answers yet," he said, "but what we do know is this. Lucas was a man of compassion and curiosity. He believed in exploring the unknown and using knowledge to improve the world. That's what we'll continue to do." Behind the scenes, however, tensions were mounting. The scientists were divided over how much information to share with the public. fearing that sensationalism could overshadow the research. Meanwhile, the Grant family grappled with their own questions about faith, science, and the legacy Lucas had left behind. For Lily, the mystery was deeply personal. Her brother's letter had planted a seed of belief that the glow was more than a scientific anomaly. She began to explore spiritual texts and ancient philosophies, seeking parallels to what the camera had captured. Her journey led her to unexpected places, and to a discovery that would challenge everything the family thought they knew about Lucas's life and death. What Lily uncovered next would not only shed light on the mystery, but also reveal a secret Lucas had taken to his grave. The footage was sent to experts in digital imaging to rule out tampering, but the results were conclusive. The phenomenon was genuine. This revelation sent shockwaves through the scientific and spiritual communities. Was it proof of life after death? A unique natural occurrence, or something else entirely? As public interest reached a fever pitch, Thomas decided to hold a press conference to address the growing speculation. Standing before a sea of cameras, he spoke with measured calm. "We don't have all the answers yet," he said, "but what we do know is this. Lucas was a man of compassion and curiosity. He believed in exploring the unknown and using knowledge to improve the world. That's what we'll continue to do." Behind the scenes, however, tensions were mounting. The scientists were divided over how much information to share with the public, fearing that sensationalism could overshadow the research. Meanwhile, the Grant family grappled with their own questions about faith, science, and the legacy Lucas had left behind. For Lily, the mystery was deeply personal. Her brother's letter had planted a seed of belief that the glow was more than a scientific anomaly. She began to explore spiritual texts and ancient philosophies, seeking parallels to what the camera had captured. Her journey led her to unexpected places, and to a discovery that would challenge everything the family thought they knew about Lucas's life and death. What Lily uncovered next would not only shed light on the mystery, but also reveal a secret Lucas had taken to his grave. Secrets beneath the surface. Lily Grant's resolve hardened as she delved into the mystery surrounding her brother's death and the unexplainable events tied to his grave. The letter Lucas left behind was more than a farewell. It was a call to action, an invitation to explore the boundaries of life, death, and the unknown. She began her investigation in Lucas's study, combing through every book, journal, and artifact he had ever collected. The room was a microcosm of his life, a blend of philanthropy, intellectual curiosity, and a fascination with the mysteries of existence. Among the stacks of papers and files, she discovered a folder labeled Project Prometheus. Its contents were unlike anything she had expected. The folder contained correspondence, research notes, and blueprints for a device Lucas had been funding, a collaboration with a cutting-edge lab in Cambridge. The device was described as a quantum energy resonator, designed to detect and measure subtle energy fields that conventional instruments could not. In his notes, Lucas wrote, "What if the energy we call the soul is measurable? Could it be that the essence of life, the spark within us, doesn't dissipate entirely after death but transitions to a form we haven't yet understood? The resonator could be the key to unlocking this mystery." Lily's heart raced as she read. Lucas had never mentioned this project to anyone, not even their father. Why had he kept it a secret? And what role, if any, did this experiment play in the strange events unfolding now? Driven by a mix of curiosity and urgency, Lily decided to visit the lab mentioned in the documents. She reached out to Dr. Elena Kessler, the lead researcher listed in the correspondence. Dr. Kessler, a physicist known for her groundbreaking work in quantum mechanics, agreed to meet with Lily under strict confidentiality. The lab was located in an unassuming building on the outskirts of Cambridge. As Lily walked through the sterile corridors, she couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. What had Lucas been involved in? And why had he chosen to keep it hidden? Dr. Kessler greeted her warmly, but with a hint of wariness. "Lucas spoke of you often," she said, leading Lily into a private conference room. "He was passionate about this project, though he insisted we keep it low profile. He feared it might be misunderstood. Misunderstood how? Lily asked. Dr. Kessler sighed. The idea of measuring the essence of life, the soul, as some might call it, treads into territory that many consider pseudoscience. Lucas didn't want to jeopardize his reputation or the work of the Foundation by associating with something that might be seen as fringe science. Lily nodded, understanding her brother's cautious nature. Did he ever test the device? Dr. Kessler hesitated before answering. Yes, Lucas himself volunteered to be the first subject. The results were unexpected. She pulled up a series of charts and images on her laptop, showing Lily what appeared to be waves of energy emanating from Lucas's body during the experiment. The patterns were unlike anything previously documented in physics. This energy, Dr. Kessler explained, seemed to interact with its surroundings in ways we can't yet explain. It's almost as if it had a consciousness of its own. Lily stared at the screen, her mind racing. Could this energy be connected to the glow captured in Lucas's tomb? Was it possible that Lucas's experiments had somehow altered the natural course of his death? Before Lily could ask more questions, Dr. Kessler added, There's something else. Lucas mentioned experiencing vivid dreams and unusual sensations after the experiment. Feelings of being watched, hearing whispers, and seeing fleeting glimpses of light. At the time, we attributed it to heightened sensory awareness or stress, but now it feels like more than that. Lily finished, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Kessler nodded. Exactly. Back at the Grant estate, Lily shared her findings with her father and Dr. Pottle. Thomas, already reeling from the grief of losing his son, struggled to process the revelations. He was experimenting on himself. Thomas asked, his voice tinged with both disbelief and frustration. Why didn't he tell me? Maybe he thought you wouldn't understand, Lily said gently. Or maybe he wasn't sure what he was looking for. Dr. Patel, ever the pragmatist, saw an opportunity to further their investigation. If this resonator device exists, we need to use it. It might help us determine the nature of the glow and the energy it's emitting. Thomas reluctantly agreed, and arrangements were made to transport the resonator to the mausoleum. The device, though experimental, was highly sensitive and required precise calibration. Dr. Kessler joined the team to oversee the operation. On a crisp autumn evening, the resonator was set up just outside Lucas's tomb. As the team activated the device, its sensors began to pick up faint energy readings, similar to those recorded during Lucas's initial experiment. The energy was fluctuating, almost as if responding to the presence of the device. Then, at exactly 2:17 a.m., the same time the glow had appeared on the camera before, the resonator detected a sudden surge of activity. The team watched in awe as the monitor displayed a vivid, shifting pattern of energy waves. The glow appeared once more inside the tomb, brighter and more defined than ever. This time, it wasn't just a silhouette. The figure was unmistakably Lucas, his form shimmering like liquid light. He appeared to be standing, his face serene but focused. He raised an arm, as if reaching for something, or someone, beyond the confines of the tomb. Lily felt tears streaming down her face as she whispered, "Lucas." The figure turned, as though hearing her voice. For a fleeting moment, their eyes seemed to meet, and an overwhelming sense of peace washed over her. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, the glow faded, and the resonator's reading stabilized. The team was left in stunned silence. What just happened? Thomas finally managed to ask. Dr. Kessler shook her head, her voice trembling. I don't know, but whatever that was, it wasn't just energy. It was Lucas. For Lily, the experience was transformative. She no longer questioned whether there was more to life and death than what science could explain. Her brother had found a way to transcend the boundaries of existence, leaving behind not just a legacy but a message, a reminder that the unknown is not something to fear but to explore. The awakening of the world. The events inside Lucas Grant's mausoleum had left Lily, Dr. Patel, Dr. Kessler, and Thomas stunned and forever changed. The resonator, Lucas's groundbreaking device, had done more than measure energy. It had unveiled a doorway to a reality no one had fully understood. As the family and the scientific team grappled with the implications of Lucas's discoveries, word of their findings began to seep out, setting off a global wave of intrigue, skepticism, and hope. The media storm. The footage from the resonator test, showing Lucas's glowing figure and the structured energy field, quickly became the center of a heated debate. Despite the family's efforts to keep the recordings private, a security breach at the lab led to the unauthorized release of the video online. Within days, it had gone viral, spreading across social media and news outlets like wildfire. Commentators from every corner of society weighed in. Religious leaders declared it proof of the afterlife, while skeptics dismissed it as an elaborate hoax. Scientists debated the validity of the findings, with some praising Lucas's ingenuity and others condemning the use of experimental technology on a human subject. Spiritual communities hailed Lucas as a modern-day prophet who had bridged the gap between the physical and metaphysical worlds. Protests erupted outside the Grant estate and the mausoleum. Some groups demanded that Lucas's body be exhumed for further study, while others argued that his grave was sacred ground that should remain undisturbed. Thomas, heartbroken and overwhelmed, refused all requests for access. Lucas's legacy is not about spectacle, he told reporters. It's about understanding, progress, and compassion. Meanwhile, the Eleanor Grant Foundation found itself at the epicenter of a global movement. Donations poured in from around the world, with people urging the foundation to continue Lucas's work. The board, led by Lily, decided to redirect funds toward research into consciousness, energy fields, and the possibilities Lucas's discoveries had unveiled. A global awakening. As the world debated the implications of Lucas's work, a quiet revolution began to take shape. Scientists and thinkers from diverse fields, physics, neuroscience, philosophy, and spirituality, started collaborating in ways never seen before. Universities launched interdisciplinary programs to study the intersection of quantum mechanics and consciousness. Governments funded research initiatives, hoping to harness this new understanding of energy for medical, technological, and social advancements. One of the most promising areas of exploration was the idea that human consciousness might persist in some form after physical death. Inspired by Lucas's work, researchers developed devices similar to the resonator, capable of detecting subtle energy fields around recently deceased individuals. Early results suggested that these fields did not immediately dissipate but instead followed patterns that hinted at continuity, a possibility that shook the foundations of many scientific and philosophical paradigms. Religions, too, began to adapt. Some saw Lucas's findings as confirmation of their long-held beliefs, while others struggled to reconcile their doctrines with the emerging evidence. Interfaith dialogues flourished, with leaders seeking common ground in the shared mystery of existence. But not everyone embraced this new era of exploration. Conspiracy theories abounded, claiming that Lucas's discoveries were part of a secret government program or a corporate plot to control humanity. Some feared that tampering with the boundaries of life and death would lead to unintended consequences, comparing it to Pandora's box. These fears gave rise to movements advocating for ethical guidelines in consciousness research. Lily's mission. For Lily, the journey was personal. She had always admired Lucas's unwavering belief in humanity's potential, but now she felt a responsibility to honor his vision. She spent hours poring over his journals, seeking guidance and insight. One entry, in particular, stood out. If the resonator works as I believe it will, it won't just measure energy, it will reveal the stories that energy carries. What if every moment we've ever lived, every thought and emotion, leaves an imprint on the fabric of reality? What if the so-called afterlife is simply another chapter in the same story? Lily shared this idea with Dr. Patel and Dr. Kessler, who saw in it a new avenue for exploration. Together, they proposed a bold new project, The Continuum Initiative, a global effort to map the stories encoded in energy fields. The goal was to develop technology capable of interpreting these imprints, potentially allowing humanity to access the memories and experiences of those who had passed. The announcement of the Continuum Initiative sparked both excitement and controversy. Critics accused the team of overstepping ethical boundaries, arguing that such technology could be misused for surveillance or manipulation. Supporters, however, hailed it as a profound step toward understanding the nature of existence. A breakthrough. Months into the Continuum Initiative, the team made a groundbreaking discovery. Using an advanced version of the resonator, they successfully recorded an energy pattern from a recently deceased volunteer. When the data was translated into visual and auditory formats, it revealed fragmented but coherent imagery, a scene from the volunteer's childhood, complete with vivid colors and sounds. The implications were staggering. If memories could be preserved in energy fields, it meant that the essence of a person's life, their thoughts, emotions, and experiences, might never truly vanish. This realization prompted a shift in societal attitudes toward death, grief, and legacy. People began to see death not as an end, but as a transformation, a passage into a state that could one day be understood and even accessed. Lucas's legacy. As the world adapted to this new reality, the Grant family found solace in the knowledge that Lucas's life had sparked a revolution in human thought. Thomas, though still grieving, took pride in the fact that his son's work was helping millions. Lucas always believed in the power of connection, he said during a televised interview. Even now, he's bringing us together in ways we never imagined. For Lily, the journey was far from over. She continued to lead the Eleanor Grant Foundation, using its resources to support education, healthcare, and scientific research. But she also took time to reflect on the deeper questions Lucas had raised. What does it mean to be human? What lies beyond the veil of death? And how can we use this knowledge to make the world better? On the anniversary of Lucas's death, Lily visited the mausoleum alone. She brought with her a single candle, which she placed on the sarcophagus. Sitting in the quiet, she spoke aloud, hoping Lucas could somehow hear her. "You were right, Lucas," she said, her voice steady. "We've only scratched the surface. But we'll keep going. I promise." As she left, the faint glow returned, not in the tomb, but in the stained glass window above. It shimmered softly, casting a warm light over the room. Lily smiled, feeling her brother's presence more strongly than ever. Lucas Grant's journey had ended, but his story was far from over. It had become humanity's story, a tale of courage, curiosity, and the unshakable belief that the mysteries of existence were worth exploring. A new dawn for humanity. The discoveries catalyzed by Lucas Grant's life and death marked the beginning of a transformative era for humanity. The enigmatic energy patterns detected by the resonator, the glimpse into what could only be described as the essence of life, and the growing realization that death might not be the end. These breakthroughs reverberated across the globe, reshaping science, philosophy, and society itself. But as with all paradigm shifts, the journey forward was as fraught with challenges as it was filled with promise. The age of exploration beyond life. The Eleanor Grant Foundation, led by Lily and supported by a coalition of scientists, philosophers, and thought leaders, became the epicenter of what was now called the Continuum Revolution. This movement sought to integrate Lucas's findings into every aspect of human understanding, from medicine to ethics. The Continuum Initiative's research advanced rapidly. With improved versions of the resonator, scientists were able to capture and analyze energy fields from individuals at various stages of life and after death. These energy patterns, or soul signatures, revealed a startling truth. They were dynamic and ever-changing, reflecting the thoughts, emotions, and experiences of the individual. One experiment, conducted under rigorous ethical oversight, used the resonator to study a terminally ill patient who had volunteered to participate. The team recorded the patient's energy signature moments before death and compared it to the energy pattern detected afterward. The data showed continuity, as if the essence of the person had transitioned to a different state rather than dissipating. This discovery stunned even the most skeptical scientists. For the first time in history, humanity had tangible evidence suggesting that consciousness, or at least some aspect of it, persisted after death. The implications were staggering. A world divided. The world's response to these revelations was predictably polarizing. In some quarters, the findings were met with awe and reverence. Religious leaders adapted their teachings to incorporate the new understanding of the soul, viewing it as confirmation of long-held beliefs. Spiritual movements flourished, emphasizing interconnectedness and the idea that life was part of an infinite cycle. Others, however, were less enthusiastic. Some scientists argued that the data was being misinterpreted, cautioning against jumping to conclusions about the nature of consciousness. Philosophers raised ethical concerns about the potential misuse of resonator technology, such as the possibility of accessing or manipulating energy patterns without consent. Governments and corporations began to see the potential applications of the technology, from medical breakthroughs to surveillance. The Continuum Initiative faced increasing pressure to commercialize its findings, but Liley and her team resisted, vowing to keep the work focused on ethical research and public benefit. Protests erupted in cities around the world. Some people feared that humanity was tampering with forces it didn't fully understand, while others demanded access to the technology, hoping it would reunite them with lost loved ones. The Grant estate became a fortress, with security teams fending off both fervent admirers and vehement detractors. The rise of the Continuum Academies. Despite the controversy, progress continued. The Eleanor Grant Foundation launched the first Continuum Academy, an interdisciplinary institution dedicated to studying the intersection of consciousness, energy, and human potential. The Academy's mission was to explore these phenomena responsibly, fostering collaboration between scientists, philosophers, theologians, and artists. Students from all over the world flocked to the Academy, eager to learn about the mysteries Lucas had uncovered. The curriculum included courses in quantum mechanics, neuroscience, ethics, and even creative writing, encouraging students to approach the mystery of existence from multiple perspectives. One of the Academy's most profound achievements was the development of a technique called resonant storytelling, which allowed individuals to interact with fragments of energy imprints from deceased loved ones. These interactions weren't full conversations, but rather glimpses into emotions, thoughts, or moments encoded in the energy fields. For many, it provided a sense of closure and a new understanding of the connections that transcended death. Humanity's evolution. As society began to embrace the continuum revolution, subtle but profound changes took root. The concept of legacy took on a deeper meaning, with people recognizing that their thoughts, actions, and emotions left lasting imprints on the fabric of reality. This awareness sparked a global shift toward kindness, empathy, and mindfulness. In medicine, the ability to study energy fields opened new frontiers. Researchers developed therapies that used subtle energy manipulation to treat chronic pain, mental health disorders, and even degenerative diseases. The resonator also became a tool for diagnosing illnesses, detecting imbalances in energy fields long before physical symptoms appeared. In art and culture, creators began incorporating the idea of soul signatures into their work, producing music, paintings, and films that resonated on levels previously unimaginable. These creations seemed to evoke emotions not just in the present, but across the continuum of human experience, connecting audiences to something timeless. The final revelation. For Lily, the journey was deeply personal. As the continuum revolution unfolded, she continued to feel Lucas's presence, not just in the work, but in quiet, unexplainable moments. She often returned to his mausoleum, seeking solace and inspiration. On the 3rd anniversary of Lucas's death, Lily decided to conduct one final experiment with the resonator. She wanted to see if she could directly interact with Lucas's energy field, not just as a scientist, but as a sister longing for connection. With the help of Dr. Patel and Dr. Kessler, she calibrated the device to the highest sensitivity. As the resonator activated, the air grew charged, and the familiar glow appeared, filling the mausoleum with light. This time, Lucas's figure was more vivid than ever. He stood before her, not as a ghost, but as an energetic presence radiating warmth and peace. Lyly, his voice resonated, clear and calm. "You've done it. You've carried the torch further than I ever could." Tears streamed down Lily's face. "Lucas, I miss you every day." "I'm not gone," he said, smiling. "I'm part of everything now. And so are you. Keep pushing the boundaries. Keep asking questions. The answers are out there, waiting for you."